Hi, my name's Benji and welcome to Dice vs Cards. Today we bring you an episode of the Versus Chronicles, where we pit two games against each other that share a sometimes obvious, other times completely fabricated connection between them, giving you a whistle-stop tour and only mostly serious overview of both games. These videos will act as a record of what I've been playing recently, and so ladies and gentlemen, it's fight time with Dice and Cards. Introducing to you first, in the blue corner, a game you could theoretically play during those infernal TV ad breaks, and one that features all those iconic Disney characters, 5 Minute Marvel. And now introducing to you, in the red corner, a game you could absolutely positively play during the Super Bowl halftime break and feels just like watching the Hurt Locker. Fuse! Kicking off today is a Marvel reskin of a tense and timer based hand management game named 5 Minute Dungeon. Here though you're going to be overcoming goons, minions, villains and masterminds. The literal barbershop quartet of bad guy Marvel archetypes, before facing up against the big boss. You've also somehow got to manage this in 5 minutes, which is quite the achievement even by superhero standards. So maybe this is one of those abstraction of time jobbos. Yep, that must be it. Dog years just wouldn't add up. So this is how it goes. You each pick a superhero, veritable staples like the one and only Incredible Hulk and El Capitan America, alongside lesser known alumni like Squirrel Girl, yep, Squirrel Girl, and Spider-Gwen. With your hero comes a super swizzy OP deck of cards that you can always turn to if things start to get hairy. Alongside those cards you have a generic deck that's going to be your bread and butter means of disposing of the filth. You then load up the app that will act as your timer and press go. As I've already mentioned, this isn't a game to dilly-dally in. You and your super buddies need to get to work. The core means within which you'll put out the trash is you'll be playing cards from your hand that match the symbols on the cards of your current foe. And you're going to need to communicate quip sharp because there's quite a few of these bad boys to get through. You definitely need to toe the line between using your resources in the most efficient way possible and just throwing cards on the table without giving it too much thought. Anytime you have less than the minimum cards in your hand, you can then draw cards from your generic deck or your superhero deck, which as you'd expect gives you more powerful tools to do your thing. Alas, that deck is finite, so use it wisely, because once all the cards are gone, you ain't getting them back. This truly is a manic game. You definitely need to play it a handful of times to get into a groove with your play group. But thank the super gods that the game only lasts 5 minutes, so no problemo. I bought this whilst on holiday back in 2018 and it hasn't hit the table as much as I'd have liked in that time, but suffice to say, with the right play group that really enjoys this concept and this IP, you're going to have an absolute blast playing this quick bloody do something game. We then move on to Fuse, another game with a timer, but this time we get 10 whole minutes. That's double the time. What are we going to do with all the spare time, for God's sake? Oh, don't you worry, the game finds plenty for you to do in that time. Maybe too much even, because at this point there's a fairly substantial gap between me and at least a 50% win rate, even with the training wheels on. So back to the game, this differs from 5 Minute Marvel in that it's a dice placement game. At any given time, you and the other players are going to have 2 bomb cards in front of you, and they require you to place either different coloured and or different numbered dice in a certain order on these cards in order to defuse them. They also have a range of difficulty on them, ranging from hey you Mr Player, you can pretty much put any dice you want on me, to I want you to place a red 5 next to a yellow 6 and then place a blue 1 as a cherry on top to form a pyramid, and if you don't I'm going to blow shizzle up. I think we'll call him the meanie bomb. So wait, do the dice you need to place just appear out of thin air? Well no, I just haven't got to that, Mr Impatient. So at any given time there's a bag handler in your play group, and that person's job is to, you guessed it, grab a number of dice equal to the number of players from the bag. Each player then has to be able to take and place one of those dice, because any that can't be used are getting re-rolled, which in turn will make you remove a dice you've already placed of that colour and or number. With me still? Well, if you're not, suffice to say it's brutal when that happens, and so again, swift communication with the other players is key here, because if you can quickly let people know what you can or can't take, you can organically take turns quarterbacking where the dice should go. It really is that simple of a premise. You defuse enough bomb cards depending on the difficulty in 10 minutes, if not, kaboom! Once again, you need to learn what all the types of bomb cards require you to do, and you'll need to develop a shorthand with the rest of the parade group to have any chance at this game, especially on the higher difficulties. I really appreciate this game. It's brutal, but it's fun. Don't be shy now, get your bomb vests at the ready. It's again tough to pick a winner here on this day and at this time, but as I do slightly prefer the mechanics and overall gameplay of this one, I have to call your name, Fuse. I rate both of these panic at the table games, so much so that I very much intend to force these on my play group more regularly, at least before the beers hit the table anyway. For now, ladies and gentlemen, this video has ended. We do hope that you've been raucously entertained and highly educated by this video, and so if you have, please do give this video a like and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with what we do.